We cannot continue like this, and people who are not ghosts or spirits attack communities and disappear into thin air. And I remember, sector commander, you were the sector commander, when the corpse of a soldier was found, and you arrested people. Did you arrest people? You arrested people? In Tanjol, you arrested people. Why is this there no arrest? And General Agi, we need to release those young men immediately. If you have any evidence against them, charge them to court, but they must be released immediately. And I'm going to talk to the GOC. Let's not escalate this matter. Let's not provoke people unnecessarily.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang there, directly confronting the STF commander in Riyom, echoing the anger of grieving residents who are now demanding the STF's removal. Good evening, everyone. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, and this is Beyond the Headlines. The bloodbath in Plateau continues unabated and seemingly unchallenged. Just this week, in the early hours of Tuesday, suspected militia stormed Binda in Riyom local government area. They killed, they burned, they looted, and they left. Homes, a church, food supplies, all gone. But more painfully is the fact that there were no arrests, no accountability, and once again, all we have is silence. Even as military men, we were told, were stationed about just 200 meters away, the attackers moved freely, executed their mission, and disappeared like ghosts. But as the governor said, these killers are not spirits. So why does it always feel like they vanished without a trace? What is really going on? Tonight, we're joined by the Commissioner for Information and Communication in Plateau State, Honorable Joyce Ramnap, as we seek clarity, accountability, and above all, assurance that Plateau will not continue to bleed like this. Madam Commissioner, thank you for joining us, especially at such a heavy time.
Good evening.
Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Let's begin with the governor's exchange with the commander, and I want to play that excerpt for you again.
We cannot continue like this, and people who are not ghosts or spirits attack communities and disappear into thin air. And I remember, sector commander, you were the sector commander, when the corpse of a soldier was found, and you arrested people. Did you arrest people? You arrested people? In Tanjol, you arrested people. Why is this there no arrest? And General Agi, we need to release those young men immediately. If you have any evidence against them, charge them to court, but they must be released immediately. And I'm going to talk to the GOC. Let's not escalate this matter. Let's not provoke people unnecessarily.
You heard Mr. Governor there questioning why no arrests were made. He referenced the arrest of certain people when a soldier was killed, but nothing now when civilians lie in shallow graves. What's really happening? What is it that we don't know?
Thank you very much, Nifemi. I would begin by again sharing our pain on the unfortunate incident again that people were murdered and their farmland destroyed. And of course, in that attack, we lost about 27 people, including women and children and the aged. They were all killed in cold blood and their houses burned. Their farmlands were destroyed. The families of those that lost their lives. We are praying along on those that are still in the hospital with different degrees of injuries that are still undergoing treatment at the moment. You recall that in recent times, Plateau State has been having different levels of attack, which we have been very straight about it, that this is pure genocide on our own people. There's no rule to engagement. There's no provocation. It's even uncalled for in the first place, but you can see the level of havoc they create. They go into a family. They want to wipe off everyone in that family. They kill innocent children that know nothing about what is happening. In any case, there's nothing that should even provoke this unwanted destruction that we're experiencing as a people on the plateau. So this is rather sad and unfortunate that we've been having that. Over the few months, places where we've been having attacks has been those hard-to-reach communities that are far off and at the border areas of Plateau State. They seem to have their way in places like that. They appear from nowhere, do this havoc, and then disappear suddenly. But this case, this very last incident that happened, is the one that is worrisome because of its proximity, the community's proximity to the military checkpoint. And this is why the governor is asking some relevant questions. Now, in the incident that led to this is that we got the eyewitnesses to even say their own side of the story. Thankfully, the army leaders are there, their officers are there, and they heard what the people said. And this is why the governor is asking questions. These people were very close. Within, from our own judgment, it's about 200 meters from where those people were killed and where the military were operating from. And this is why he was asking those questions. Why is there no arrest? You had this to engage those bandits or those killers, but there's no arrest. Nobody was even injured amongst them to say, okay, this is who we can hold on to guide us in our investigation, to know where these people are coming from. And then suddenly, where did the people discern as a people on the plateau? And then you would also realize that subsequent happenings around, there's been series of attacks, arrests. I beg your pardon. There have been series of arrests, and in this case, no arrest has been made.
I hear you clearly, Honorable Ramnap. Is it your government's view that some elements within the security agencies are actually complicit, as many in the community strongly believe?
Yeah, it's just obvious. It's very obvious, right? But we are also very careful to not to just stereotype the efforts of the gallant security operatives that are helping us as a people in Plateau. They're still protecting us as a people on the Plateau. Some are very dedicated to their jobs, doing their best to give the proper protection that we need as a people. But in a situation where it is this obvious, and you can hear from all the statements that the people made, your pressmen, your crew were there, and they heard the positions of the community, the youth leader in that community, the pastor in that community, where 6 people were killed in his home. He also made a statement. The traditional ruler in that community also said those things. So it's just obvious, but it's natural for us to begin to ask questions so that we're sure that they're taking the right steps towards dealing with this situation. Whatever happens, we need to also close this gap of mistrust between the communities and the security operatives, so it does not escalate. So it's just proper to ask the relevant questions so we get a lasting solution to this situation that we're faced with.
And this is a very sad one because, usually when you're on the news, you're reading out the statistics, you are telling the breaking story until it happens so close to you. Because I personally know someone who had lost a grandfather and whose mom was injured in this particular incident. So for every attack that happens, it's real. It's affecting certain individuals. It's damaging, it's leaving really lasting damage in the hearts of real people. The governor directly asked for the release of some people currently in military custody. And then he went on to say that, they can charge them to court if there's evidence. But do you think there's a communication breakdown as we speak between the state and the military? Why is the governor escalating this? Is there a system failure somewhere?
I do not want to say that there is a system failure or there's a communication breakdown between us. Over this period, we've had very good understanding and good working relationship. And I must say that they are also doing their best to ensure that peace returns to Plateau State. You would agree with me that in some cases, this level of criminality, it's like hybrid. It's getting different by the day. The dimensions at which they are coming from keeps changing and all of that. So it's obvious that you cannot pin it down to say that, oh, it was as a result of what has happened in the past that is leading to this. It's just for this obvious situation that we're looking at. And it's just natural for a leader, okay, to want to just get to the root of issues and then be done with, so that we are sure that there's nothing of compromise or of any nature.
But he promised to take the matter up with the GOC and push it to the highest levels. Has that meeting happened? What's the update from that escalation?
Of course, that meeting has happened. So we're just awaiting the outcome of that meeting.
We heard Governor Mutfwang say it loud and clear that this is not a farmer-herder conflict, that it is terrorism and genocide. Are you saying that the state has intelligence pointing to an organized pattern? Who really are these attackers?
I am also saying that it is genocide, okay, and terrorism. And I started by giving that reason why it should be seen as such. When you go into a community and you want to destroy lives and then you wipe a family, it's a generation you're killing. You kill a pregnant woman. What else do you want? What would have provoked that? You want to wipe people out. And of this last attack that we're experiencing, even after the destruction, after killing, burning their houses, they went into the farmland. They went into the farms and started destroying the crops in the farm. What would be that situation? How would you liken that situation? So there's food. They want to create food insecurity for us in Plateau. And you know, Plateau, naturally, we are an agrarian society. Like I said earlier this morning, of the 325 wards we have in Plateau State, there is no ward in Plateau State that they are not farmers. Large-scale farming. There's no community in Plateau that you don't see farming activities goes on. So when you begin to destroy these crops, it's like you want to kill the people. You want to kill their moral. You want to kill their culture. There's nothing you want to spare on those people. So what name can you best describe a situation of this nature if it's not genocide? And then you begin to wonder, what is leading to this? Has there been any issue that has led to this attack? You never can tell. You can't understand where they're coming from. Now, for these people that we're talking about, again, we, for fear of being misunderstood, to think we're stereotyping. No, we're not stereotyping. Governor Mutfwang is governor over everybody in Plateau State. And he's been very, very clear about it. If you are in Plateau, you believe in this Plateau, you are a brother, just give him his hand. That's his mantra about the unity of Plateau State. He has taken measures to also build the relationship and unity on the Plateau. You know, just recently, we also inaugurated a interreligious dialogue and advisory committee to build relationship of people within Plateau. So it's not because we want to resist or just...
But as a government, you must have intel. I mean, you must by now know the identity of those attacking your people, right? Who are they?
From this report, this attack, okay, the people even in the community were very clear about it. They heard them speak Fulani, and this is always the issue. You when they come to attack, you know they always communicate within themselves. The language they communicate in is Fulani. Okay, so it's not something that is hidden to say that we do not know, but we know that there is a militia Fulani group that is attacking the people in Plateau State. It's very obvious from the reports that we're getting from the people. They didn't hide it.
But interestingly, there are also Fulani people who live in Plateau, right?
That is why that's why I mentioned, I said we do not want to stereotype to say, okay, because these are Fulani, so it applies to Fulani. Of course, they are Fulanis. We live with Fulanis. We have Fulani friends. We have Fulani in our communities that are living with us. Again, you still find these elements appearing, and then they do this destruction. And sadly, too, the mode of operation they come with is that they come, attack, and then they go out. They come, attack, and they go out. Okay, and that is more frustrating is the fact that you cannot hold on to anyone to say, okay, where are you coming from? Are you the Fulanis that are within our community, or you're coming from elsewhere? As all sorts of insinuations is going on before us.
Let us talk about the security architecture in Plateau as it is currently constituted. What exactly is the relationship between Plateau Security Network and the federal forces? Are you getting the kind of support and sincerity that the state needs to truly secure these communities?
We are getting that support, I must say. We're getting that support. But I want to believe that the security forces are kind of stretched with the kind of happenings around us. I do not want to limit it to Plateau, but I think it's a national issue that needs attention. Okay, and this is why for us as a people in Plateau State, our position is that the state policing should be an option that we look at. The state policing should be able to guide, to cover for the conventional security operatives. You know, the efforts of our own state policing here, we have an Operation Rainbow. It's called Operation Rainbow, and that's our own state policing outfit. And the governor, on coming in, made efforts to rejig that security outfit. However, there's limitations in terms of their operations, and without the support of the federal government, again, there's no much that we can do. But for us, we understand that if these people are within us and they are Plateau people, they will understand our terrain better.
Give us some more context to the kind of help that, because I believe you're referring to Operation Rainbow, right? I'm wondering how it currently...
Constitutionalizing Operation Rainbow, supporting Operation Rainbow in terms of the basic, I don't know what name to call it. I'm not in the military, so I don't know what's the right word to use for calling for the kind of equipment or gadgets that they will be needing for delivering the security networking, to give surveillance, to give coverage to these areas. So these are the kind of supports I'm talking about, okay? The state may be limited in terms of having that result.
But how does it currently, and I'm sorry for butting in, but how does it currently, complement or coordinate with the military and federal forces on ground? Because some would say what the soldiers need might be the intel that Operation Rainbow can provide because they are closer to the people.
If we have a proper synergy to say that, okay, Operation Rainbow has, if it's not even the same standing, close to the same standing with what the military, if they could be given, of course, weapons to carry, they can be able to close some of these gaps, and they can even just be to be a buffer for our people at those areas. Like I mentioned earlier, that most of these attacks, they come through our borders. The last attack we had before that of Riyom, that of Hurti, that the community in Hurti is very, very close to Wamba in Nasarawa State. You can see how far they stretch. Just while we were going around to see the areas that were affected in Riyom, we traveled within Riyom local government, we traveled for over 2.5 hours within the same local government to be able to get to one of those communities. Now, these are communities that you will not have the military presence in those.
Well, we're working on reconnecting with the Commissioner for Information and Communication in Plateau State as we dig deeper to finding out the reality on ground, especially for a security challenge that has lasted for so long. We keep reading on the news every day the challenges that people, especially farmers on the plateau, face with what the commissioner called Fulani headers. And there's also the challenge of how much help they are getting from the federal government, and whether or not there is really a productive collaboration ongoing between state security operatives and also the Nigerian military. It's a very sad story, especially following the latest attack, which has seen that community now coming out to protest against the sector commander, suggesting that he was complicit in the recent attack. The governor you saw in the video earlier was asking if arrests were made when a soldier was killed weeks earlier, which he answered in the affirmative. But then 3 or 4 days after this latest attack, no single arrest has been made, and there were reports that security operatives were stationed just a few hundreds of miles away from where that incident transpired. It's another sad tale from the plateau, especially when you look at the faces of members of this community, real people who have blood flowing in their veins, who have now lost family members, who have lost properties, who have lost farmlands, their crops, their food supply to these suspected militants. What way forward for the plateau, and what exactly is going to happen differently beyond the sympathy visits? What practical steps is the state taking as we speak now to provide support for these victims who perhaps have now lost their only means of income and sustenance? The governor we heard was saying that this particular community will not fall. And that's a very bold statement to make for a state that has now come one day after the other reporting similar cases. What is the governor going to do differently? We're hoping that we are able to reconnect with the commissioner in time to be able to hear from the Muftwang administration what it plans to do differently. The commissioner confirmed earlier that that meeting has now held between Mr. Governor and the GOC. We heard him say earlier that he would meet with the GOC to ensure that what happened in this community is thoroughly investigated. Mr. Governor is saying that Riyom will not fall, but the people have heard similar words before, only for the next village to be hit. Why should they believe that this time will be different? Recall that Mr. President himself was at Benue recently following similar incidents of farmers being attacked on their farmland at the middle of the night, and it takes hours after the attack has been successfully prosecuted or executed before security operatives appear on